Welcome everyone to this week's edition of the Race Report. I'm Jeff Baki Jr. alongside Scott Ickes, and this past week, the Camping World Truck Series was in hot Atlanta.
And hot is the least we can say about the race. Jeff, there was side-by-side racing, beating and banging, just overall some of the hardest racing we've seen all season.
This past week in the OCRL was one of the biggest, if not the biggest, week in the league's history. The OCRL and the Sprint Cup Series joined in to open up testing for the new Sprint Cup Series cars, and boy, these fans are in for a show when this new season begins. What do you think about it, Scott?
Yeah, it's a big change. The OCRL directors and they changed up the cars from what we've been running the last 3 years, and just a lot different. The cars are about the same, but we got a spoiler, we got a new front end, spoiler in the back instead of the wing. We have a new front end. All the tracks are different, so it's going to be a big challenge for all these drivers out there.
Yes, I know that our guys, well, not our guys, but they're taking it. They don't want to do whole team testing yet because of the. They don't want anybody getting any advances on anything. So what they've been doing is they let single drivers. You got to fill out this long form, and drivers can go to certain NASCAR sanctioned tracks. And me and my team, as in the number 88 team on the Sprint Cup Series, we've been to a few tracks, and the new car. I don't want to say it drives like a dream, but this new season is going to be all about skill. When seasons in past, it's been all about how good your car has been. You've got to race these tracks, and it's going to be exciting. I think that this is going to be one of the biggest seasons hype-wise for the league here.
Forget everything that you've done the past 3 years, because everything's different. So you might see some drivers that had bad luck in the old game, and now into this one, it's just you're going to see some new faces up at the front of the field, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've seen there isn't no timeline. The cars are different. If you're a fan of Patrick O'Toole, you've been, I don't want to say disappointed, but he hasn't had the best of runs. Expect him to be up front maybe this season. Expect Andrew Mickey to be up front. These guys are new contenders. Expect for people like me and Scott to be on the same level. It's going to be even all the way across the board, and it's going to be exciting for the fans. I'm most excited about that, and just getting into the race, and everybody's going to be so even. It's going to be fun.
And all the tracks, and just how different you're going to have to run them. I think the races are going to be about the same, maybe a little longer here and there. But I think all the drivers are ready just to kick off this new season. We haven't been in a Cup car since about the end of December, so I think everybody's really anxious to get going.
Oh, yeah, and I did hear one of the drivers talk about my teammate, actually, Jason Gaines. Those guys went to Texas, and he said it's as smooth as Talladega, that getting around that place. So I know they're excited to get back to racing. The Sprint Cup Series will be in Daytona on May 3rd for the Budweiser Shootout.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one, Jeff, and I'm sure all the fans are.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be very exciting. And speaking of exciting, we have one of the most classy guys that you can get from the Sprint Cup Series here with us tonight in the studio. For the first time making his debut on the Race Report is Austin Painter. How you doing tonight, Austin?
Oh, good, Jeff. Excited to be on the show for the first time. Glad to be here with you guys.
And we're glad to have you. Talking about the new Sprint Cup Series season, have you and your team, well, first off, we don't know what you're doing. We've heard some rumors you guys are going to be with Red Bull Racing. If I'm mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, you want to clarify that for us?
Yeah, we'll be in the 4 Red Bull at Toyota as my teammate Monsell Fields. He'll be in the 83 over there. Kenny Francis is going to be on top of the board and on top of the box for us this season. And very looking forward to staying with Toyota and keeping them up front. That's my hopes for the season. New car. It's fun to drive. It's different, though. Definitely different.
Now, going from, you started out the truck series, and that kind of ended abruptly. How excited are you just to start off this new season since last year when we ended our Cup season?
I'm very excited. Got in the car, I think it was 2 days ago. We got out there testing, and it was a blast. I loved getting back in the car, feeling the power. Trucks have the same kind of power, but it was a fun little stint there. But being back in a Sprint Cup car, you just once you get back in those, you just love the feeling of it, and you get yourself excited, and then it's just too bad we gotta wait till May 3rd to get everybody on the track and out there running together.
Oh yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about, the trucks. I mean, there's just a fine line that you got to cross to be from the Truck Series to the Sprint Cup Series, and we're kind of having, especially this testing going on, is a good fix for those of us that are having that. Talking about next season, of course your goal is to go out there and win the championship, but the past few seasons, you made the chase last season in the Sprint Cup Series, and it kind of, that season ended abruptly, sponsorship issues, team issues. You have a solid contract now. Thinking big picture, what are your goals moving into 2011?
Well, I'm personally I'm hoping to win more races. I feel like my consistency's there. It's been top 5, top 6 a lot, and just I've been able to been up there for a win, and just haven't really pulled it out. Haven't had the luck to pull it out, and just pushing the team to get those wins. And I think if we get, I'm aiming for maybe 4 or 5 wins, maybe 6. But if we get those, I feel it'll be an accomplished season. Coming into my 3rd season, I feel like I'll be definitely a top contender for the championship. We're definitely a top contender, but of course finances and issues happened, so we had to end that. But that's our hopes for this season, is to be up there, maybe be top 3 in points, and hopefully for maybe a good championship run.
Well, we're glad to have you back in the Sprint Cup Series. Would you mind hanging out with us to talk about the truck race? I mean, we know that you weren't physically there, but maybe you could tune in and maybe comment on some of the situations that happened.
Yeah, sure.
The OCRL Truck Series heads into Atlanta Tuesday night with Jesus Andrade starting first.
And with us on the phone is driver the number 5, GoDaddy.com, Callaway Razor Chevrolet, Jason Gaines. Jason, you're going to be here with us to discuss the race. You want to start it off?
Well, I mean, we started outside pole with our teammate Jesus Andrade in the number 7. Both of us broke track record, which was a great accomplishment going into the race. Started out, we pretty much pulled away a little bit. Anybody that races Atlanta knows it's just a smaller Daytona. You're going to stay in a big pack most of the evening, which we did for the most part. And I think we went a green flag run till we had to make pit stops, and it all cycled around almost. I was leading, and I was just fixing to go into the pits when Cody McCorkle brought out the first caution, which was just the first of many. And it's a repetitive thing each week. It seems like people can't seem to get control of their cars trying to get on and off pit road, and it's starting to cause a problem.
Yes, and the OCRL has said that they will be reverting to call your own caution the remainder of the season to help out with issues such as late race cautions that could interfere with the race and the stupid mistakes that we were seeing that these drivers are showing week in and week out. And the OCRL has also asked that Cody McCorkle stay away from competition, that he's been causing issues. And what do you think about the changes that the OCRL has implemented to maybe help that?
Well, going back to the call your own cautions is going to help, I think, in largely the end of the race, and the end outcome of the race is going to change because of that. With having the in-game cautions, it affects potentially who could win the race. I mean, if you, like in my situation in Atlanta this past week, I was leading, had like a 4.5 second lead with 3 laps to go, and someone tries to get on pit road again, spins out, and causes a caution, and then I get beat by strategy, which, it is all a part of racing. I understand that, but, we're all mostly veterans here that have been here for at least a season or two, and we should be able to control our cars a little bit better than that at least.
Right. And moving on from the first caution, we had gotten into it was exciting racing. We promised last week when we were in Michigan that heading into Atlanta we're going to see some of the best racing that we're going to see all season. And from my seat, the fans got that, and we were side by side. At one time, I was four wide and got as fish-tailed as the next person, and was able to hang on with it and didn't tear nothing up. And you guys were on rails. Scott, you were up there. It was just an exciting race, I think, from the fan aspect.
Yeah.
Scott had a. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had a good run in the beginning. Me and Jason had a lot of fun in long runs. The car ran really good. It actually it was really loose at the beginning, but it started to tighten up, and I could get to the throttle a little quicker than anybody else. And then I think we had pit stops in towards the end of that, and it's a lot of fun running fuel strategy race and whatnot, because you get to make adjustments on your car, and you don't know if you take 2 tires, 4 tires, but overall that kind of spread out the field, and it just for people that were out front, if you had a teammate in the back, you could draft up to the front and catch the leaders.
And Scott, you guys were, as you mentioned, you guys were really good on the long run, and just another bad break this week, and I hate to keep being the burden in your ear that's telling you that, but you're third in points now. The issues that are coming up, what's got to be going through your mind? I don't want to be a spy or anything, but your boss saying anything, the meetings at the shop, anything doing to maybe better your strategy, better your position to get you out of this slump that you're in right now?
Yeah, I don't know. You just got to keep running the races. You can't win a race if you're not there. So we're still going to make all the races. And as far as my mindset goes, I don't know what else I can do differently. We tried to stay pretty clean the entire race, and when we were up front with the first 4 guys, I mean, that's really where you got to be. You got to be up there with the first, 4 or 5 guys, because those are guys who are going to run good, who are going to run hard, but also not be too aggressive, not make bonsai moves or nothing, and be good on the restarts. And we were in the back. I think we were like the second to last car on the on lap line, and we had 2 drivers that were lapped down on the inside, and they got loose, and they were going really slow every restart. They were basically hitting their brakes almost, and the one time I almost hit one, and I got squirrely, and I guess we had James behind us, and he ran in behind us and took out really the entire rear end of the truck. We really weren't much of a factor after that. But, I mean, you got to keep running. You try to put it behind you, but at the same point, it's always in the back of your mind.
Right, and as you mentioned, that we've had these issues with the slow restarts. We're going to turn to Austin, who's been our help in the studio here. Austin, you haven't been a player in these races, but as a driver, you tune in to what's going on, you watch these races. What is your take on the on-track drama that we were seeing from the new drivers, the cautions, maybe the aggressiveness that Scott just talked about?
Well, you know what? I mean, the aggression's going to come. You got young guys out there wanting to prove that they can go out there, they can win, they want to go out there. I mean, my first season out there, I wanted to win as many races as I could. I knew I wasn't in the points race, knew I wasn't in the chase, so I was just going out there to push myself and try to win races, and I became pretty aggressive and pretty snappy on the gun. So if someone ever, came at me, I snapped at them, and that's what it pretty much looks like it's happening. Young guys are trying to prove themselves and try to get contract offers from teams like JRM or Zero Motorsports, and and also the youngness, also not experience with the car, which I did notice from the testing that we've been doing that that the OCRL has done a very good job with this new car that we've coming up in the Sprint Cup Series at the tires locking up. In the old car or like the trucks, they lock up and you really you just go around, you spin them. But when you lock them up in these cars, they really kind of stay straight, and it's easier to control, easier to handle. So I think going to this new car, the young guns who are bringing out all these cautions and the frustrations, but the people who, like Jason, are having troubles winning the race because they have a 4-second lead and then they get a caution because someone spins out. Uh, I think it'll help the young guns out, but also they just need to stay smart with the car, and it's definitely going to bring frustrations out when you're winning a race and you got a few laps to go and someone brings out a caution and you don't get that win that you think you deserve and should deserve if you're out by quite a bit. And
It's funny that you bring up the over-eagerness of the new drivers because we've got Jason on the phone with us, and both of you guys have come in at different points and times. And I'll be the first to tell you, when you came in here, me, Scott, and Eric, the guys who've been here a while, we all whispered amongst each other, this guy's not going to make it, this guy's not going to make it. You got called back to the hauler more times than I think anybody. No, I can't say that because Chris Hiller's here with us. Second most times, and you've straightened out and you've really matured a lot. You've got a little more to go, but I think that you're where you need to be to contend for the championship. And Jason, on the other hand, comes in, his number one goal, to earn respect. He's not worried about proving anybody because he knows, I guess he knew deep down that he was all right. He didn't have to prove nothing. He had to prove something, but he didn't want to. And it's two different ways of coming up through the league here, and both of you guys are successful, and that I'm glad that you mentioned that because that was a great point to prove here that you come up different ways, and you come up the way Austin did where you were rambunctious and overeager, maybe made some more desperate attempts, and then you have guys like Jason who came up and didn't make too much noise, but because of his consistency, you learned that he was there, and because of Austin's point to prove, hey, look, I'm in the top 4, I'm in the top 3, I'm winning a race, you knew that he was there. So two completely different ways to come up through the league, and we've got it right here, and we're glad to have both of y'all on board with us.
yeah, I mean, eventually, I mean, all the young guns out there listening right now, I mean, you got it. Eventually, you're gonna settle in. Eventually, you got to learn. Hey, man, I shouldn't be forcing this. Shouldn't be doing this. And eventually, you're gonna figure out that hey, if you're calm, you're collective, you do what you need to do, you're gonna end up being in the top 5 week in and week out. You practice hard. You push yourself. I mean, that's pretty much my aspect. I came into the truck series this season. I just stayed quiet, stayed out of everybody's way, just went out there and did my thing, and I was up there battling for the points lead, and then we just we weren't really planning on running the full season, so that was the end of our season. So I mean, it's just all you gotta think like a champion, and I mean, guys out there like you, Jeff, I mean, you win championships by being calm, but then, I mean, 3 laps to go, you're going to be aggressive. So, I mean, you got to look at Eric Mickey and Jeff Baki Jr., and you just got to watch what they do and learn from them, and then go out there and do your thing. And eventually you're going to be calm, and maybe you'll see a championship come your way. So.
Well, thanks for pointing me out there as a reference. We do have Jason on the line. We're going to go ahead and let him go. Thank you, Jason, for your time today with us, and good luck moving into next week's race in Las Vegas.
All right, thank you.
And as Jason and we've all talked about, we had a late race caution brought out with just a few laps to go. We had different strategies come out, and Stevie overcame his bad strategy last week in Michigan. He put it to the crew, rebounded, did what they had to do, got him back out with fresh tires. He went to the front. Jason finished behind him. Then it was Jesus Andrade, Corey Bunch, and Chris Hiller would finish in the 5th place. The rest of the top 10 can be displayed here on your screen.
When we return from the break, Jeff will be in the news center with what's going on in the garage area.
Let me ask you this.
What is it that I like the most about this league? I like that feeling in the pit of your stomach on race day, destined for greatness.
I like the sound of 50,000 fans cheering at the top of their lungs because the 88 took the lead.
I like hearing those four famous words, "Gentlemen, start your engines."
I like that fine line between checkers and wreckers.
Going from green flag to checkered flag, knowing you raced the best and won.
I just like that I'm a part of this league.
This is my.
This is your,
This is our
our
OCRL. And welcome back to the Race Report. This week, Eric Mickey announced that he would no longer be participating in the OCRL. And from my standpoint, I think that this is a big move on his part. I don't think that it's going to affect the league any, but having him here, he was that diverse, he was the gray area, if you want to say. I don't mean that in any disrespect, but he stood out among any other driver, and he was, I don't want to say arrogance because he didn't pick that up until the later part of his career. He was a role model for some. He won championships. He was a hell of a driver. And I'm saying this like he's passed away, and he's completely fine. He's doing some road racing events over in Europe as we speak. He's completely fine, and we do believe that he'll be back racing the Sprint Cup Series later on down the road, but right now he's called it quits in the OCRL. What do you think about this big move that Eric has talked about, Scott?
Yeah, he was big as far as racing went in the race and whatnot. In the garage area, he really didn't talk much. But I mean, he was always there. You always knew that when he was there in races, you're going to have to really step up your game because he was always fast at every track, and it was nice to race with him. But he's just been kind of into road racing lately, and that's where it's taking him right now until we start the Cup season. Austin, we know you drove for him for a little bit. What do you think about this move from him?
It was it's a hard move, definitely. I mean, to see him leave, me and him had a great friendship, and we still continue to talk, and still talk about our teams and how we're doing. And I asked him about his road racing stuff, how he's doing. And funny thing was is that he was in one of our cup cars over when we were testing. Now, I mean, he's not planning on running cup cars, but he knows about the cup cars, so I had him come over and help us out and help me out personally, because he is a champion, and you got to learn from champions, and they got to teach you stuff. So I mean, veterans teach young guns, and then those young guns become veterans. So, but I mean, him leaving, he was definitely one of those guys where you'd be running up front, and you just think you're all in the clear, and all of a sudden your spotter says down low, and you look over, and then that's Eric Mickey going by you, and eventually you kind of gets on your nerves every time you look over and you see the 29 or 31 number at the 33 going by. He's a great racer, great guy to be around, and especially in the garage area. Definitely, he's open for tips. If you go and ask him a question, he's definitely gonna answer for you. He's not gonna hesitate just because you might be on a different team. But he's a veteran that's gonna let you know, hey, this is what you need to do. And he's also not afraid to speak his point. Get it out there and let people know, hey, I am here and I will stand my ground. I'm not going to be a pushover veteran. I'm going to be here for racing, and I'm here to win. And he definitely went out there and showed that with those multiple wins.
Yes, and he will be missed here, and just because he's not racing no more doesn't mean that he won't be in the garage area helping out, as Austin mentioned, the new guys coming in and maybe helping out a few teams and whatnot along the line. In other news, Ford has offered up a $1 million bonus to all Ford teams if the manufacturer does indeed take home the championship this season. Chevy has been doing this for past seasons and looks to do it again. Right now, Ford is just 3 points ahead of Chevy.
Thanks for that news there, Jeff. Going into Vegas, Stevie leaves you by 54 points.
Yes, and Scott, you're just 77 points back. Jesus is 83 points back, and Jason is 100 points back in the standings.
The rest of your top 10 can be seen on the graphic on your screen.
Scott, next week we're going to Sin City, Las Vegas. It's going to be a high-speed roulette table. That's the best way to put it. Going to Las Vegas, you got the gambling. It's even down to pit strategy and what to take, what not to take. It's a gambling game. The guys at our place, we figured out our engine woes. We're feeling like we're going to come back strong. Maybe get my first win of the season. God, I hope so. Get us back into this points deal. What are your predictions for next week?
Well, I see a lot of guys taking more chances than they normally do. For a lot of guys back in the points, if they want to get up there and try to make at least a little run at the lead, they're going to have to make some pitch strategy adjustments that they normally wouldn't make. It's a smooth, half-mile track, so it's gonna be a lot of fun to race there. It always is. There's 2 racing lines there, so you're gonna see guys up high, some down low, and maybe even see a track record broken. I don't know. We saw it at Atlanta. I wouldn't be surprised to see it here.
And what about you, Austin? You have different takes, being that you're not running full time. What do you think about Vegas?
Vegas, well, in the trucks, I gotta love it because that was my my first truck win and my up to recent last truck win. So, this is not about racing, but I mean, I love that neon garage. It's a pretty cool thing there in the center there. But yeah, I mean, Las Vegas it's definitely a fast track, and you gotta really know the handling and make sure. I mean, you gotta have, like you said, with the old car, you gotta have the handling good, and I mean, you got to look out for them JRM boys, Jason, Jeff, Jesus. I mean, those guys are going to be up front. Stevie, I mean, it's a great season for him, and I hope it continues to be this. I've always been around with Stevie and talking to him. And Scott, I mean, the Fords this year, it's been outstanding. I mean, that news about the Fords being ready to try to take over Chevy, I mean, I've been trying to do that with Toyota, but haven't gotten the population with the Toyota that I need. But hopefully we can get this in the next season. But I'm really a Ford lover right now. But gotta go with them to see an upset. But
Yeah, and Stevie has been on a roll, and he cannot be counted out going to Las Vegas. When can we expect to see you in a truck again, Austin?
I'm not sure. We might see me in Homestead this season. I don't know if we have any plans. Steve said he might be building the truck for that race, but sponsors have always been there. They're ready to go. Whoever One Main Financial said that they're ready to go anytime they want to be or I want to run a race. So I'm thinking Homestead just to get a finale there, but not completely sure, but still hoping for that win.
Well, gentlemen, we're just about out of time. I'd like to thank Austin Painter and Jason Gaines for being on the show this week, and we wish them the best in their accomplishments later on down the road. On behalf of everyone here at the OCRL Studios, I'm Jeff Baki Jr.
And I'm Scott Ickes.
And we'll see you next week from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.